To the Full Fuel podcast.
Welcome back to Full Fuel.
This is part 2
of a podcast we filmed a couple weeks ago.
I am Carl Ippolito.
My name is Mia Ippolito.
If you're blaming it on your kids that you can't have a fit body, that is one of like your greatest shame, that the shame that you're putting on your kids because you can't keep a fit body is like, you couldn't do something worse, right?
Right.
Like, no, that's not it at all. You're not the proper model then comes into like, no, I'm going to model that for my kids.
The reason I should be fit is my kids.
Yes,
for sure.
right?
Like, not the excuse why I can't be. That should be the reason why I want to be fit, because I want to be there when maybe she gets married and you want to walk her down the aisle.
Yeah, for
Are you
sure.
going to be walking with a cane, bro? Or are you going to be walking, you going to be running? You going to be doing headstand? Talk about some of the stuff you're doing with content creation, branding, helping people in that front, man. And let's kind of roll into that.
Yeah, so look, I love storytelling. One of the things that I learned in my business career before I got in the content world, when I was in sales, the best way to sell your product is understanding there's two things. One, understand the problem that you're solving and go solve the problem. Stop selling features and functionality. But the second biggest thing is understanding buying processes. If I understand how you buy, when you buy, what was a compelling event that triggered your buying process, I can say anything. If I know how you buy, stop.
Yeah.
Like, what's your buying process? What was the event that triggered, right? So in the B2B world, at a minimum, 60% of the buying processes happen before we've ever even engaged. Right? So you're already thinking, you're already looking, your eyes are already elsewhere. You've already in your mind started buying this service before I even know about it. What was the event that happened? Is my product, is my service in front of your eyes as you're searching the marketplace? We've never even engaged yet. And I loved that about sales. Because I always thought to myself, like, look, I went to Tennessee on an academic scholarship. I went and got my MBA. And then I learned that like guys who were in sales made all the money. I'm like, the heck? Like, so I think to myself, like, I was a very good athlete, but I was a great student. And I was like, I know I'm smarter than you. So like, why do I not make more money than you? If we're gonna go do sprints and I train harder, I can be faster, very linear, extremely linear. So I found out that the sales guys made more money. I was like, let's get into sales. And I was like, well, any idiot can pick the phone up and just dial for dollars. So how can I just be smarter? I was so egotistical, I'll admit this, that you could make more money in sales and not be smarter. I took that as a personal jab. I can just figure out the process better. There's something that I can just figure out. And I became obsessed with that. So the buying process is massive. You can figure out your target customer, your marketplace. The market is simple. Like, here's a problem, here's the solution. How many people have the problem? What are they willing to pay for it? That's total addressable market. It's extremely straightforward. How do you solve it? How do other people solve it? What's the difference? Why does that matter? That's your competitive advantage. Very simple 8 steps. That's free right there. When you're honest with yourself about where you fit in that matrix, and I mean be honest, and then you go through who has the need, the honest need. I think the biggest problem people have, they say, well, I could sell to this person and this person, and they want to sell to everything. I get it. You probably could. You're like, what y'all have going on with the sauna and the polar plunge, you're right. She's been doing ice baths since before they were cool. You could sell to everybody, but who's your best person?
Right.
Best person. Even I say take target market, and I'm talking drill it down 8 times. Like, because there's so many people. Go find the best person and then just brutally attack them. And then, it's one standard deviation away from that, and it's one standard deviation away from that. So I became obsessed with that in the software world. And when I got into content, I just took that and applied it, right? So it's like, content to me is, I have to tell my clients stories. And I've got to tell my stories so that they land with their target audience. If you go viral and you get 1 million views, that's great. Like, we've got like 150 million views across all platforms. If it isn't who you're trying to sell your product to, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
These vanity metrics online are total nonsense. And people have got to get away from this. If you have 2,000 followers and 1,500 are your target market and 500 engage a month, those are amazing metrics.
That's insane, yeah.
Stop thinking to yourself like, oh, your account only reached 500 people. My social media guy sucks. Blah, blah. No. Do you know what people would pay for 500 warm leads?
Yeah.
Like, they're just so they're so disconnected. I kind of saw this gap when we were making content. And I had big brands, Omaha Steaks, Microsoft, all the dating apps because I'm a single dad. I started doing this, like these consulting gigs with these big brands, and none of them understood how to make short form video or social media content that wasn't highly produced or just static pictures. They had no clue how to tell a story with an audience they were actually building. Anyone could put a ton of money behind marketing and get brand awareness, but building an audience and telling your story, there's a huge gap in the market with that. And there still is a huge gap in the market with it. A lot of guys are selling, I'll come video you at a speaking engagement, or I'll come shoot your products, I'll splice it up and then we'll just post it. And I'm thinking to myself like, all right, well, let's go back to that beginning piece of that buying process. All right, so let's go to your target market. Great. Do you know the kind of content that your target market consumes with? Have you actually done that research? Well, I know. I'm like, no. I don't care what you know. Have you done the research to look at 1,000 profiles of your target market to know the kind of content, not that they post, that they consume?
Yeah.
Big difference between post, consumer and consumption and production. Then is the kind of content you're producing the kind of content they're consuming. What? Yeah, but that's not like, well, I don't want to make that kind of content. That's fine, but then don't tell me you want to convert your social to actual leads. Because it's not about you. It's not about you and your product trying to like put out a certain image. If you're trying to move merch, move product, or me with my services, you need to be making the kind of content that your target market consumes in the way that they consume it.
Right.
You have 3 seconds with your hook. That's it. And I'd say you have about 1.8 seconds.
Yeah.
Think of how you scroll.
Getting quicker. Yeah.
So can you get them to actually stay on it? Right. So in a movie that you go set out, a movie builds up, they have character development, then plot development, then you have your conflict, you have your resolution, your climax. That's how a movie gets done. So in social and in content, it's that end piece goes up front. Your resolution is the first thing that has to be shown. And they're like, well, if you do that, then they're just going to keep scrolling. And I'm like, study psychology a little more. That's actually not what happens. So they want to be like, wait, how did I get there? What happened? Then it's plot development, and then it's character development. There's a different like scientific mechanism behind how the videos get done.
Yeah.
Your call to actions, completely different. This idea of like a call to action and everything. No. I want my audience. I want followers. I want engagement. Then you have the conversion.
Yeah.
I'm actually very against call to actions. Some of your content, yes. Most of your content, you're building a relationship.
Yeah.
If you were doing a big deal with someone, y'all would go play golf. You'd go to dinner.
For sure.
You'd build a relationship, right? So
Yeah.
go do it with your content and your audience.
What was that?
100%.
What was that stat we heard the other day? It was like 80% like value, 20% ask, or something like that. Like,
Well, yeah. So I have a whole thought on that one, big time.
Tell me.
So when it comes to content, you give away the secret sauce for free. You're not that special.
Yeah.
Give away the secret sauce, you charge for implementation.
100%, because people don't want to do it, right?
They-
You know what I mean?
they
They do
don't
not want to do it.
Do it. And that's why I say with any of your products or any of your workout stuff, post all your workout plans.
Yeah.
Post all of your cold plunge therapy. Post everything. Because all that does is you're just building, that's not building a relationship with your audience.
Yeah.
Think of every one of those things as taking someone to play golf, taking someone to go to dinner, right? Sponsoring their kids' Lily team. The amount of time, like I was playing a golf tournament with a guy, and I'm trying to sign as a client. Like we played in a charity golf outing for like that local high school baseball team. I was like, I have 1,000 better things to do on my Friday, but nothing more important than building a relationship with you.
Yeah.
Give away everything for free. You charge for implementation, because at the end of the day, when they buy the product, they go to your therapy. They want to look better. They want to feel better.
Right.
And you know how to help them get there. You charge for that. People again, they want to have these call to actions. They want to have, especially guys that lead groups, guys that lead tribes. My goodness, I think everyone's getting that wrong. Like, be someone that people are so inspired to follow that they would pay no matter what. You don't ever have to mention like your group. You don't ever have to mention like, so the guy
They're just like, I want in.
I'm paying him to be my coach, and he's never once posted about coaching people. I gotta be around him.
Yeah.
Like I need. I'm like, dude, Nick, you've got a secret sauce that I don't have yet. You've achieved more than I've achieved. And I literally DM'd him, and I was like, hey, are you doing one-on-one coaching? He's like, yeah, that's how you build leads. He's also a brilliant marketer. Like, that's how you build leads.
Yeah.
I think everyone's getting content super wrong in that regard, and I think it's just getting worse. Which is, for the guys that get it right, I think is actually a huge opportunity.
For
Sorry
sure.
for that rant.
No,
I feel very passionately.
I think,
Yeah,
I
I love
think
that.
even
That's good.
too, it's not, you were talking about, product services. I think just across the board, this is just my personal belief, that no matter what, there's got to be an element of sharing. There's so much consumption out in the world. Like we all, even the way we break down things, right? Like I'm looking at, I like any movies. I'm actually trying to get back in movies to kind of work that left and right side of the brain of getting back into comedy and like laughing and understand how they're interacting and how you pull people in. Because comedians are like the best at that, right? So, but then there's just all this element of like in filming that you can see in commercials that no clip runs longer than 6 seconds. It's between 4 and 6 seconds, and then it's changing your eye parallel.
Frames don't last more than 3. When you watch your next movie, frames don't last more than 3 seconds.
I count like how it's at. So there
Unless
are
it's a
some
Tarantino
frames
movie.
Yeah.
that'll hit you that they last a little bit longer, maybe to get through a sentence. I was watching you're my 40-year-old virgin the other day, and like just to laugh at Steve Carell.
It's a
But
funny movie.
like it was one of those things where the dating scene that like he was going around or whatever, and laughing so hard. But they had one with Paul Rudd, and I'm like, and it was like 6 seconds. I was like, wow, that was the longest one I've ever seen, right? But at the end of the day, like this is just my like personal belief on like everyone. Like if I had to recommend, if you don't even have a product or a service, like you don't have anything, personal brand is so important for you to protect. And we go back to that point of your name. Like if you're not sharing and like what's going on and like just being transparent, I feel like you're losing out. Like you're losing out on like that brand that you're actually creating for yourself. Not everyone needs to do it, but I think it is important. Like an important thing just now in life is to have a personal brand.
Yeah, man, there's a lot that I love what you just said. One of the things that I've learned is that when you do share a lot of your stuff, we talked about that this morning actually, it's going to trigger the insecurities in people who don't want to be transparent because they haven't done certain things in their life.
They're like, oh, he's sharing. Dang, should I share? Like,
No,
he's vulnerable.
But even further than that, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of what you see is our life. I keep very little out. Nothing is made for social. One of the things that we do on social is I share just enough to make my followers feel like they have everything, and we oddly live a very private life, which most people won't know. But there's a when you get to a following at a certain size, there's ways to do that. My point is that I didn't realize some of the pushback that I would get, the friction. Like the more you start winning, the more people want to see you lose.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine sent me an Andy Frisella quote this morning. I actually shared it with her. She is at a small age starting to realize, like, some people aren't being nice to me. Why? Some people might make fun of me for doing certain things. Why? And we talked about it. Like, the more you win, or the more parenting, man. I don't share my parenting to make you feel bad about yours. It's not why I do it. I don't wish my childhood on anybody. I don't. I mean, like, and you know, I hope my dad never hears this podcast, but like, I don't wish my childhood on anybody. And I also don't wish anyone to learn the lessons in their childhood that I had to learn. I don't want you to go through divorce to be a great parent. I want 2 parents in a house who love each other very, very much. And so I try to share a lot of what I do because I don't wish my path on anybody. Man, when you make somebody feel insecure about their parenting, be ready. Like, they will come at you, whether it's quietly behind your back, whether it's publicly, whether it's 1,000 different ways. So yes, on the personal branding aspect, what I've also learned is that, golly, I hate saying this out loud, they don't want to be better.
Say it, man. That's like, this podcast is so raw truth, bro. Like,
I don't know.
we say this stuff all the time.
I wish I could. Like, I see certain guys.
You mean like they don't want to level up, or like they're not willing to?
Yeah, we have a lot of these buzzwords like level up and all this
man,
kind of stuff. But just like, so why wouldn't you have a personal brand? I'll tell you why you wouldn't have a personal brand, because you work for a big company and you're a number in a company, and like, you're trying to stay above water. Most people are trying to stay above water. They are. Like, they're just trying to get by. Like their wife probably kind of sucks, and their kids probably kind of suck, and their job probably kind of sucks. And they look at themselves in the mirror and they're overweight, they kind of suck. And you know what, dude? I'm doing good. So I want to have a few drinks tonight. And like, I want to go have 5 hours on the golf course and like have a few drinks. And like, man, like, what is your problem? Like, stop.
Yeah.
That's like the reaction that I get from people. Like, they don't want to see me living better because like they're just getting by because life kind of sucks.
Like we talk about this all the time because I have a good friend who you know as well. I'm not going to say his name, but he was like, man, like, it's like, Matt is so much just growth, like level up all the time. He's like, sometimes you got to just like take it easy. I was like, I don't agree with that at all, bro. Like, and we call people out in our coaching program too. It's like, do you want to be average? Do you? Like, if your answer is yes, dude, like, then maybe this isn't the community for you because we're not about average. And if you're not
let's talk about
pushing it, right? Or like
what's
why?
up? Yeah, exactly.
Guys in their 30s, right? They typically don't operate and think like you, right? What you're doing with your girls and what I'm doing with my girls and what Alfie's doing with his kids, like, that is such an anomaly, right? Intentional modeling of how we're doing that. Guys, like, in their 30s, they're like, I can eat whatever I want. I can drink whatever I want. I probably gave up. Now it's the good old days type of thinking. Yeah, I was an athlete type of mentality comes in. And so how are we then like saying, guys, man, no, you got to capture that mindset because the best days are still ahead of you.
Sure.
Right? And so how are you holding your body to that standard as well for health span greater than lifespan? You're not just in it to smoke a cigar, drink a few Trulies, eating a bag of chips on your pontoon boat, saying that, man, I was a really good athlete when I was 19. Bro, 19's a long time ago, and you don't have to be 45 pounds overweight, right? And so, like, we have guys in our Optimizers program, they're all in their 30s, they all have kids, right? And we were talking to Chris Cavallini. He came on our podcast, and he says this, and this rings true and like hits really, really hard. If you're blaming it on your kids that you can't have a fit body, that is one of like your greatest shame, the shame that you're putting on your kids because you can't keep a fit body is like you couldn't do something worse, right? Like, no, that's not it at all. You're not the proper model then comes into like, no, I'm going to model that for my kids.
The reason I should be fit is my kids.
Yes,
for sure. Right? Like, not the excuse why I can't be. That should be the reason why I want to be fit because I want to be there when maybe she gets married and you want to walk her down the aisle.
Yeah, for
sure. Are you going to be walking with a cane, bro? Or are you going to be walking, you going to be running? Are you going to be doing headstand?
Ed Milet just said this like in a recent podcast, but he said the story before in our small groups. But he was talking about how when he was 33, and he wasn't really focused on like really clean eating or doing anything, he went in for a heart scan. He's like, man, I'm having like some heart issues. I think I mentioned this in like one of our previous podcasts. But he goes in, and the doctor comes out, and the doctor already knew he went in for that screen, and he's waiting in the lobby, and he's like, I'm looking to speak with Edward Milet. He like picks his head up. There's like 3 other people in the room. He knew who he was talking to. He walks over to him, and I won't go through the whole story, but this is like what pulled that in. Was he stared him dead in the eyes, and then he looked back down at the sheet, stared him dead in the eyes, and then looked back down at the sheet. He's like, I cannot believe those arteries are in that young a body. Come back with me, son. So he like had him from the like get-go. But one of the things that he asked when he got in the room that was just like, I mean, he just like dropped was, do you want another man? Are you prepared to let another man walk your daughter down the aisle? He's like, what is in that report? I need to know what is in that report. And so he changed his whole life on it. He told it like the trajectory of like how he approaches health every day is completely different because of that one question he asked.
For sure.
Are you prepared to have another man walk down your daughter down the aisle?
Yeah.
You're like, that ain't happening.
And that goes into like the why you do things, like what's your purpose in life, right?
Right.
It's like you have kids, like they should be up there on that list pretty high of like.
No, but I mean, to your point about my kids are the reason why I can't work out, the unspoken resentment also built into that statement. I mean, that to me is just brutal. I'll be the first to admit, I get the most mad at my daughters when I see behaviors in them that kept me from my goals. It infuriates me, but I can never communicate that to them. Even behaviors that I might even have now, where I didn't keep a promise to myself, and I'm like, I'm trying to change behavior at 39. They're 9 and 11 next month. I catch myself. I'm like, I just got so upset with her because she didn't keep a promise to herself. But I'm really mad at myself because I had the ice cream last night or because of whatever else. And I'm mad at myself because I didn't keep a promise to myself. And if they can start doing that now at 9, I know how much different their life can be. But I didn't get upset at her to change her life. I got mad at her because I saw myself not do this recently. I've had to catch that so much. And I can see, and my heart breaks for a lot of guys that you know, they're either chasing their dreams through their kids. I got super blessed again that I have daughters and they don't play sports I played. You know, I played football, basketball, and baseball. I was really good at baseball and basketball. And thank goodness I don't have, I mean, she plays basketball, but it's a secondary sport. And I keep telling her, I'm like, look, basketball is really simple, especially the youth level. They have all this AA. There's this whole circuit going on. I'm like, can you shoot? It's so simple. Can you shoot?
Put the ball in, yeah.
If you can shoot, there's a place for you on every team. And baseball's the same way. I don't have sons that play in this travel baseball world that's nuts. Baseball's real simple. Can you hit? If you can hit, there's a place for you on every team. I talk to so many parents. I've trained kids. I haven't played baseball in 20 years. I could train a kid tomorrow. It's very simple. Can you hit? And they've all this. It's like they've turned baseball into like the new golf. You have all these gimmicks and all this stuff and all this blah blah. I'm like, no. Get a tee, then do soft toss, and then do then either do a machine or live toss. Can you hit? Yes. Everything else doesn't matter. If you can smash, there's a place for you. If you can shoot, Mia, if you can shoot, the ball can go in that bucket. I don't care what circuit you played on. You're gonna be good. You can play. A coach will always put a kid in the game that can get buckets. Period. Cheer's a little bit different. And soccer, I had no idea how technical soccer was. Holy cow. I mean, she's a private trainer at 9. I can't teach the technical. It's not like run fast, kick a ball out of net. So there's definitely some elements of soccer that I can't do. But, man, I'm like, so they don't play sports that I play, so I don't have to have the whole, like, they're reaching my dreams that I didn't get to have. Thank goodness. So, and my heart breaks for people that are kind of chasing, like, either dream, like their dad's dream, their mom's dream. You see that a lot in the mature world.
And, like, how does a kid feel? Well, like, I hate this sport, but my dad put me in it because he used to play it, and, like, everyone expects that I'm going to be the next whoever, right? Like, that freaking sucks for kids. Like, and then resentment on both sides. Oh, my kid's not as good as I wanted him to be. So I don't want to even play this sport, Dad. Like, you're just creating a whole, like...
One of the rules we have, she'll speak up if I talk out of turn. The minute that I got to tell you we have practice, the minute I got to be like, yo, let's go to practice, and you're like, I have any resistance. One, as a dad, I had to take that mental note. I'm like, something's not the same. Something's not clicking the same. Something has changed. And when I pick you up, if you don't have a smile, like, you just did the one thing that you tell me you love more than anything else in the world. So when I pick you up, I should be seeing the joy of you doing the thing that you're telling me that you love. And to their credit, I have never, ever, ever had to be like, yo, we got practice, and then be like, I don't want to go today. So, I mean, again, they're only 9 and 11, but they also train 5 to 7 days a week. So they've had plenty of chances to show like that. And I say this publicly to hold myself accountable. The minute that changes, we will change. We will change something. The minute I tell her, like, yo, we got training, to her credit, this last year, she came to me and said, can you get a trainer for me? I don't love our training sessions. And what I noticed was that they're very, very intense. Ours are, and so are her private trainers. But it was getting in the way of our love. And we do have rules. Like, when we get in the car, I'm dad. On the field, I'm coach. But even that, like, she felt that boundary was changing. She came to me and was like, can I get a trainer? So I got her one.
That's cool, man.
We've had moments where we've had to go back to our training sessions, and she's had to earn her trainer back. And then she did. To her credit, she had a rough fall. And she plays, like, on a national ranked academy team, but still, she had a rough fall. So I was like, we're going to go back to our stuff. It was not a fun 6 weeks, was it?
I'm just speechless.
And then she earned her trainer back. She never once complained. Never. Yeah. We had a lot of tears. And then she got her trainer back. We had to earn it. So I think listening is, there's so much we can go on about this. But I got lucky. My heart goes out to the guys. Like, I can see it, man. Like, they want it for their kids. They want it. And, man, it's just hard.
Yeah. And then you're like, it creates that whole cycle of chasing what we talk about, like stop trying to chase your failed dreams through your kids versus like, my opinion is like, I want my kids to be experience every sport, try it all, man. And then like something's gonna click, and if not, if they're into arts or whatever, like do whatever fits. You're gonna be physically fit, whether that's, you know, whatever that capacity looks like. I do think my kids are gonna like sports. They just are like naturally athletic. We've talked about this before. They're like,
you can tell, can't you? When a kid can run or walk,
yeah,
dude,
yeah,
you can tell
yeah.
where kids are gifted 1,000%. I think they should try everything. I think it is a parent's duty for you to figure out where your child is great at, and then what can they offer the world, and then what do they enjoy, right? Like that is your job as a parent, to help them identify that. They try everything. If they're not good, take them out. Like there's no nobility in poverty. That works in finances, and that works in the things that you spend your time in life in. The second thing is, if they are good and they enjoy it, it's like, you know, in school, you get a tutor in a subject that you're not great in, but in sports, you get, you know, a coach and a thing that you are great in. Like I'm all about doubling down on strengths, eliminating the things you're strong at. Like it was very clear she loved soccer, she was good at it. We doubled down on it. Yeah. I didn't need you to do ballet.
Yeah.
At that point, we knew.
Yeah.
So her sister tried a few other things. We figured out what she was good in. We figured out what she was great in.
Yeah.
We're doubling down on it.
Try it,
like,
and if you don't like it, it's out.
Go.
Yeah.
Like the amount of people that have their daughter in dance because like they should be in dance at 5 and 6 and 7. I'm like, your daughter I can tell. Like, and we're 3,000 miles apart. I'm walking on Instagram. I can tell she doesn't like dance. Dude, like, stop you wanting to be a dance mom. Like, she might be an amazing artist. Her goal, when she told you what her dreams were, they weren't to play professional soccer. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
She wants to be a DJ. I'm super down with that. Like, you want to have an art, like, let's go. I'm completely down. I don't think, man, I'm hot on that topic. Like, set your kids up for success.
But it's also like, now's the time to play soccer at this
Right.
age, right? And you can, because like eventually, I mean, and even forever, if you love soccer, you can play rec soccer as long as you want, right? You stay healthy and fit. We play rec basketball, pick up. Like, I'm trying to get back into playing lacrosse. It's been a while, but like, you can do that, right? So it's like, but maybe that's not necessarily your profession, which is why it's good to have that mindset of like, there's other things that I need to focus on as well. My academics, my reading, the ice cream shop business, you know, all that stuff, man.
Dude, if sports are the best thing about my daughter, I have failed.
Yeah, nice.
1,000%. Have y'all seen the movie King Richard? About
have.
Venus and Serena Williams' dad?
I didn't watch
he
it,
is
no.
wild.
Yes, but he's wild. So watch it tonight immediately, for sure, for one. Because everyone knows that he trained super, super hard. But what people didn't know before that movie was that he was obsessed with protecting their youth. He was obsessed with protecting their childhood. They're little girls. They're girls. Like, go to Disneyland. After tournaments, they weren't allowed to talk about tennis in the car. Like, no, like you are. And he said they are followers of Christ first, great people second, they are students third, and being a tennis player is the fourth best thing that they do in life. And he was adamant on this. And I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, these are the two best of all time. Serena is the best of all time. Yeah. And his whole thing was, the reason they didn't do the youth circuit was because they're children. So he trained them like crazy, but he protected their youth. And as a dad who has little daughters that are on this crazy youth circuit, that hit me so hard. Like, the biggest lessons he taught them were on humility. And we respect all of our competitors. They went out, they trained just as hard as you did. They competed just as hard as you did. And you won. And you give all the glory to who?
God.
Thank you. And we're humble and everyone. I am like, I can't preach this movie enough. I was expecting to go watch the story of him being crazy, which he is. Yeah. But all the other lessons though were like, dude, they were so dope.
Yeah.
I should be like an affiliate for that movie. I'm telling the story nonstop.
I'll probably watch it now because you too.
It's a good one. You definitely. He just. I think it's the way he approached things, but I mean, the intel that he had as far as where like his mindset was. Even Earl Woods, he had this like silent assassination of what he was doing with Tiger Woods. Yeah, granted, it probably wasn't approached the same way nearly in the influence of Christ, but like that is what kind of like forced that Tiger Woods to be the way Tiger Woods is today, is to be like that element of greatness that came out of him was this like kind of warrior mindset that he was like building within him, which is something similar that King Richard did too. Like he was building in this. The one cool thing that I think Serena's been able to do well is like this detachment though from like she could detach really well because like maybe it was because Venus was taking more of the pressure as like Venus was coming up the ranks, whereas Serena was just like she was allowed to be a little bit more free with herself, and then like obviously she surpassed Venus and became the greatest of all time.
Well, there's a cool scene though at the very end of the movie where Venus goes pro. It's her very first pro tournament. Serena's like staring at the court and she's upset because like her dad won't let her go pro, and she's only 12 at the time. So Venus was 14 when she went pro, and she barely lost the number one ranked player in the world at the time. And he walks over to her, and Serena has said this is exactly how it happened too. And he was like, I know you're upset. And he said, I had to let Venus go first. I had to let her go first. She will be the number one ranked player in the world. And Serena's upset. And he goes, because you're going to be the greatest of all time. And if I don't let her go first, she'll never get to be number one. And it was like Venus had the mindset of like, she had the mindset of breaking the barrier. She had the mindset of being the youngest. She was built for all those things. And it was like this brilliance of he knew that she could be the greatest and that she deserved to be the greatest. Because without Serena, Venus is all we talk about. Yeah. It's like the story of Jesse Owens. Like you also realize when Jesse Owens broke the record, right, in the Olympics, that his teammate also broke the record. But you don't know who his teammate was, do you?
Because he broke it a little bit better than him, right?
But what's crazy about Jesse Owens' teammate is Jesse Owens' teammate had a famous brother. So Jesse Owens' teammate was Jackie Robinson's brother. So his brother is breaking the color barrier for the Brooklyn Dodgers, arguably one of the most top 5 most famous baseball players of all time, and his teammate is Jesse Owens. Jackie Robinson's brother went on to be a janitor at USC. Isn't that wild? You would be Jesse Owens, a black guy breaking all the color barriers, all the everything. He was a tenth of a second slower than Jesse Owens. And he was Jackie Robinson's brother. You never heard about him. Wow, that's so wild, right?
That's a cool story.
Like, would you imagine being like, that's who your brother, like that's your, and so the whole idea though is like, he was, Richard Williams was crazy when it came to like, he knew that Venus had to go first. Yeah. If Venus didn't go first, you would never know who she was. That to me is that's some wild foresight.
That is, man. Jeez. How do I do that with twins now though? It's like which one is
it's interesting though, like from a parent perspective. We're coming back to this parenting topic. I love this. But
you know why though? You know why you keep going back to this?
Yeah.
Because parents are lazy, man. I'll go off on this one.
Let's go.
Because no, we're talking about it because it means so much to us because we also just give a shit. I'm sorry, I'll run sprints. But parents are lazy, dude. If you pay attention to your kids, they'll tell you everything.
Yeah.
They'll tell you everything. I knew last night something was off with her. I could have gotten pissed with her. I could have put her in timeout, whatever else. She was being a little bit disrespectful, and respect is super high in our house. Like, pay attention to your kids. They will tell you everything.
Yeah.
Babies, they only cry when they're tired, when they poop themselves, or if they're hungry. That's it. Yeah. They don't cry for anything else. Just pay attention. Like, have they eaten or not? Like, having babies isn't hard. No. Pay attention.
It's actually the easiest part, I think. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Toddlers can't communicate. Yeah. They're the easiest to communicate with because since we're adults and we know how to, and they literally can't. We're not trying to decipher it. They just throw a fit or not.
Yeah.
Super simple to know when they're unhappy.
Yeah.
It's only when they get older and we think they communicate where things can actually get tougher. Parents are lazy, man. That's why we keep coming back to this. That's why I get so ramped up on it.
Get this, a good parallel in foresight that kind of came out of the conversation as well. But when you were talking about as you break down things, like whether it be in business, whatever it is, right? You can do things like in a pattern of like for business, like how you're doubling down on who you need to sell to, right? Mm-hmm. Well, then, I need to get to that person. I can't do the mass. And what does that do then? That mitigates risk, right? You kind of know the outcome before when you start it because you're building that system associated. And I always even go back to like with kids, right? What are the those systems that you're putting in place to mitigate the risk of what that kid is going to perceive when they're 25 and 26 years old? Talk about this all the time because I have 3 girls. So like Maya, like how
Like, what example are you setting through the system?
Correct them in a minute.
So the systems that you're making, so that her decision making power at 25 is going to be like, oh, the guy that I want to marry, well, not him, because she has a lens of like how you essentially mitigated that risk because you knew the outcome. Like the outcome, if you can build those systems in place that are so strong and so deep, you can have a really strong control of what that child is actually going to like be like, what decisions they're going to make, right? By the actions that you make today.
I couldn't agree more, man. I parent against what I call a baseline and not every single action. So what I mean by that is when we say love, kindness, and respect, so everything they do needs to be either loving, kind, or respectful. And that isn't, it's truly because, one, they're not with me all the time. They're only with me half the time. And how do I parent behavior when I'm not even around? And so it's super simple. I don't say like, oh, don't do this, don't do that, do this and do that. That's you parenting every action. And in their heads, how do they say like, wait, what's the correlation between these two actions and what's the correlation between these two actions? They can't do that. So it's very simple. Have a boundary, have a baseline. Hey, was it loving, was it kind, or was it respectful? And the answer is no to all three of them, we shouldn't do it. That's a very simple baseline. If it's only one of the three, we ask questions about it, and then we aim for 2 out of 3. They can process that. Yeah. That to me is that's what I learned was like, all right, so that makes sense. Also, I'm not some savant. Like, learn things from people, right? No good athlete said, I know how to play basketball, so I'm going to be a great basketball player. We all have coaches. Parenting is no different. Yeah. Like, I battle with my sister over this. Like, she's going to be the world's greatest parent on her own. I'm like, no, you have a really out-of-control toddler. Like, I don't know how to tell you this. Like, go learn from people, man. Nothing I've said today was an organic or unique thought. Yeah. I've learned all of this from people that I've like watched and just like picked things up on.
Yeah, and if you care, like you're gonna be passionate about it, right? Like I'm passionate about fitness, I'm passionate about health, but lately I've been on like I see my kids growing and I see that they're at a pivotal age for me to make implementations that are going to set them up for how they're going to be as human beings. And so my passion lies in that, and that's why I'm reading that book, and that's why I'm studying all these things and already looking at schools and paths that they're going to be enrolled in and stuff like that. It's because like if I do nothing else well in my life, if I can give these kids a good foundation and then they're good humans, God-loving humans, then I'm good, right?
Well, so I'll go one further. Yeah. Matt and I need you to double down on what you're doing because we need guys for our daughters to marry.
I already know Enzo's going to marry Melina. They're already in love.
And when I say this, though, is that I say this so seriously. Like, I had a buddy of mine that's in my small group, and he said this. And I was like, dude, and I think he said it tongue-in-cheek, kind of like how we are. And we were joking. I was like, whoa, hold on. I said that again. No, like, because your twins are 3, and they're going to have friends who are 3, but their friends will be the youngest, and they might have like a 9 and 12-year-old sibling. Yeah. It's like I need you to raise your sons a certain way because they're going to impact kids who are going to have brothers who are going to impact kids. Like who is she going to marry? Because the goal isn't for her to marry someone like me. Right. So I'm super flawed. The goal is for her to marry somebody who has a heart after God's heart. And I hope if she sees anything in me, not all the singular things or none of the minutia, it's at the end of the day, did my dad have a heart that chased God's own heart? It's just what in the Bible, David was a super flawed person. We highlight this guy. I understand. David wanted to hook up with a girl, so he sent her husband to war and had him killed. And yet we have this guy on a pedestal. Right? Like, not a great dude all the time. The one thing he did better than anyone biblically was he repented genuinely. He was genuinely sorry for things. I don't think as men we just always an excuse. Yeah. Genuinely repenting, and he continuously chased God's own heart. That's the goal. Yeah. That's the goal. Like and I've told Mia this. Like if a boy is not continuously chasing God's heart, that is the yes or no. Like it's that simple. Because I don't play the drums. I'm not an artist. So I don't need him to be an athlete like me. I don't need him to look and act the way I do. He might be from Seattle. Not Seattle. He might be from somewhere else. He might be from North Dakota and play the drums. That's nothing like your dad. I don't need her to find someone like me. I need her to find someone that chases God's own heart. I need guys like you raising sons that will chase God's own heart. And I mean that so seriously. Yeah. There are not enough guys. And this is going to probably ruffle some feathers. I see more girl dads raising strong girls than I see boy dads raising strong men.
Yeah.
Like I see it tenfold, and I'm like, dude, they got no one to marry.
Yeah.
Like I need some of y'all to like raise some strong men, because I need someone eventually like
100%.
to also walk to when I walk around the aisle, she needs to be going to somebody.
Yeah, the God-fearing alpha male, bro. That's just like
100%.
the person that's coming, bro. Yeah.
There's nothing more There's nothing more alpha than fearing God.
Yeah, that's right.
Which I also think we've completely like everything's gotta be super strong and and everything is hyper masculine. I'm like, yeah, the strongest form of masculinity is protecting a feminine woman's safety, which is actually very soft, and having the humility to fear something greater than you, which would be fearing God.
Yeah.
That's my soapbox.
Love that.
I'm super passionate about a few of these topics.
Yeah, no, I think this is all great, and I know that was actually something I was talking to our producer Jake about a little bit earlier today, in terms of just that how we perceive the conversations that we're having even around like mandom, but yet it's one of the I feel like the most alpha things you can do is be kingdom focused, number one, but then also be shredded, number two. like I actually genuinely enjoy that, like protecting my body, and this is the reason. So there's actually a thought process behind this, right? Because I believe that the temple that I live in right now, that God's given me just as this shell before I go home, right, is that this is what He's given me. This is what He's absolutely given me, and I can have like absolute confidence that I am stepping into the Father because I'm protecting what He gave me, this
For
temple,
sure.
right? And so I truly believe into that. And so now then that gives me this authority. And one thing I appreciated about Maya, right? Because I know Mia, sorry, is she walk up with a strong handshake. Dude, there's guys right now that have like these dead fish handshakes. And I was like, what is going on in the world where like people can't look you in your eyes, come in for like a strong handshake, and just be uber confident in themselves that, hey man, I did what I need to do today, right? And that was number one in the morning. Did you get up and spend time in the Word? I know you know Alfie's doing this, just getting up. Let your no's be no's. Like he tells me no all the time. Hey, you want to do this in the morning? No, man, I'm getting up and I'm spending an hour in the Word. And I'm like, how awesome is that? All right, cool. I'll back off of that. But like then this element of how much power that brings you to now I have a wife in my household, right? I have so much power over my household, like literally that I can do for good, right? But so many guys are taking this like maybe alpha, which I think it's a super soft alpha, and using it for bad, right?
For sure.
And so I come in like, dude, I'm not gonna lie. I think it's really important to be shredded. I think it's really important to spend time in the Word, because that gives me this like, I'm going to call it dominance in my household. Like I am the alpha in my household, but I do it for good, right? And it's how we interpret that now in this world of like what I am raising. How am I modeling my relationship with my marriage in front of my girls? But like I come in with a lot of power, and it's now how I'm utilizing that power for good. What God called me into.
And I think as a girl dad, I think it's really, really important, because I think body image is a very big topic with young women, and we talk about food in our body all the time. And they're, her and her sister are built very, very different. They're both bite-sized. They're super tiny. She's real thin. Her sister's built like a dump truck. I joke about it. I'm like, she's got six-pack abs. She's shredded, and she has legs that'll kick through the door, like striations. Like she's growing into like her womanhood. I could tell you, if Soph didn't like protect her diet, she would put weight on for sure. She's an athlete that trains 7 days a week. She also plays lacrosse, which is a rad sport, by the way. It's a really sick sport. I'm like, no, you need food because you've got to fuel this body, and you're gonna fuel it two kinds of ways. Like you're gonna fuel this body with things that are not gonna help you cheer and not help you play lacrosse. You're gonna fuel this body with things that are going to make you an absolutely awesome athlete. And, biblically, our bodies are a living sacrifice. So I can't show my daughters the sacrifices that I make, and especially with raising athletes, you've got to set the example. I mean, and then with her, like, keeping weight on her is, like, super hard. I went for a 2-mile run this morning. So like her thing for breakfast, she has these protein shakes like every morning. We made it a fun thing. She gets the Ghost protein because Ghost is fun for her, and they have all these fun flavors. I'm like, look, for me, my protein matters, and like I don't want the fillers and all my protein and that kind of stuff. Like I'm trying to get calories in her that are better than garbage calories, and so like I'm not as obsessed with the fillers right now with all her stuff. And
better than a lot of other stuff out there.
But that's the thing, though. It's like, look, like body image is super, super important. So you can either set the example for your daughters, or you can be like, well, they're girls, and then we give them all of this freedom because we don't want to hurt their feelings. I hope I hurt their feelings about some stuff because the consequence is gonna crush their. It's fatherhood, dude. Of course.
Yeah, and you communicate in a way that's not shaming. Like, oh, if you eat that, you're gonna be fat. It's like, no, is that gonna serve your goals? Like, that's what I think about when I eat food, really. And maybe I'm freaking nuts for saying that, but it's like, is that serving me right now? Like, I don't drink right now, and I'm just in a phase of my life where I'm not drinking. I say no to drinks all the time. It's like, it's not serving me. I get up at 5 a.m. every morning. If I have a drink, it's going to throw my whole thing off. Is a Krispy Kreme donut going to serve my goals? No, right? So, like, if you just think of it that way, like, A or B, it's yes or no, then, like,
you serve food
so
and
simple.
food. Yeah, 100%, man. I actually think drinking is going to be the new cigarettes. I'm kind of big on this right now, too.
Yeah, I do, too. I really agree with that.
Wait, what did you say?
I think drinking is like the
new
cigarettes.
Yeah.
People, it's not that cool.
My daughter will tell you. I think Mia could probably tell you the number of times you've ever seen me have 2 drinks. And she's never seen me have more than 2. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
I was raised in a house with a pretty severe alcoholic, and so I also know the downside of what this looks like.
Right.
Man, I love that the no drinking movement is not taking off. Like, I think it's super here. And if I never have a drink again in my life, I wouldn't think twice about it.
Yeah.
I'm really big on that one.
I agree.
We had a friend and guy come on our show, Jay Campbell, and he talked about you're letting kind of your spiritual guard down a little bit. Like if your brain and your mind gets a little
not a little bit,
yeah,
for sure.
You're lowering that door that you can let darkness, demonic, whatever you want to call it, in and influence your decisions in negative ways. Why do guys get in fights when they're drunk? Right? Like, do they go out there thinking I'm just gonna fight people tonight?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you get drunk and now there's that whatever it is, energy in you, and somebody says something wrong, now you're fighting in a bar and you're a grown man, right? Like, it's like crazy.
Man, if you believe in spiritual warfare, which is a whole separate conversation, dude. You believe in spiritual warfare, you're opening the door to it.
Yeah. I mean, that is what we battle against, right? That's
Hands down.
Yeah.
I think, I'm a big believer, and I even posted that on Facebook. There's a couple things I tested out. I had 3 kind of in my mind as far as gray area items, because I'm pushing out all this positive content. I was like, let's push something out this little testy. One of them was about alcohol and how it basically takes on a demonic force. Man, people were lighting it up. No, it doesn't. I just enjoy it. I'm like, okay, there's one dude that literally said this. He said a comment, and I knew the dude had diabetes. He has diabetes, type 2 diabetes. And I'm like, dude, why are you arguing this? This is not good for you at all.
Yeah.
The way people perceive things of again, just that level of improvement. Do you want to get better? Does it serve you just to get a little bit better?
I got a question for you, Carl. And
Let's go.
I'm looking forward to the answer to this. And Mia, you can chime in too. On this show, we talk about living full fueled. That's our brand. That's our lifestyle, right? Fully fueled in all areas of life. Our 6 pillars are fuel, movement, sleep, mind, spirit, and purpose or work, right? What you do. What does that look like for you and your family and you personally, business, anything? I'll let you just run with it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I've thought a lot about legacy and what does legacy mean recently, for sure. My life, once I got divorced, I was a big software executive. I was making, all the money I could have wanted. 7 years later, losing that, and look, I've had a car towed out of my driveway before. When I say losing it, I've lost it, for sure. Went from a big beautiful house, to a townhouse, and the house that we live in now, the small 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, it's 1,400 square feet, and I've always viewed this house as this massive failure. I got a 12-year-old, Acura NDX. I had this big, beautiful, Denali. And I had this life that I thought was everything you were supposed to have. I had the marriage, and, to this day, I'll never know why it didn't work. There wasn't some, abuse or infidelity. But what I do know is that I wasn't doing what God wanted me to do. So he took it away. And I know guys that are in their mid-40s that lose it all, and that crash looks a whole lot worse. Because now they're like, oh, I wish I could go back and have a relationship with my kids now, or I wish I could go back and do things. And so he took it all away from me early. And I would say it's been in about the last year, even just year, where I asked the girls now, and Amita's right here, I'm like, do you want to move out of that house or do you want to stay in that house?
Stay in the house.
Like, they love our house. Like, do you love our car or do you want a new car?
No, I want to keep our car.
And what do you call it? What's the car's nickname?
Avocado.
I have no idea why. They call it their avocado. And it really, the first time they said that, like, I was looking at houses in Jersey, it's, especially where we live, like houses, they're insane. It's insane. Like, there's nowhere for us to go if we wanted to. But I'm like, wait, y'all love this house, and you love this car. And I'm like, why? And it could be in this house, and this is a long answer, like everything else I get answers to. This house is encapsulated love. It's encapsulated kindness. It's encapsulated respect. Our core values. We have our core values. It's encapsulated what living a life for Christ really actually looks like. And it isn't the big house. Dan and Shay, the country artists, they have a song right now called Bigger Houses. And it's like, love isn't found in a bigger house. Right? It's like, what does a house actually look like? Yeah. And it's been a really hard thing for me to accept. Like, love and success and legacy look like our house right now.
That's awesome.
It isn't the big house that I had. And it's not, yes, do I want, like, the new F-150? I do. But that's strictly me. And I think you should have wants and desires. But when it comes to, like, what's, like, life and what's the purpose of all of those things, to me, are just a framework that will lead you to a life that's fulfilled and has purpose and has legacy. And my daughters, they like always do, they check me. And this idea of, like, we need a different house, like, they like that house exemplifies everything that I would want them to actually admire in life. Like, it exemplifies what love looks like. It exemplifies what God looks like. That's where they've learned the word. And I'm like, why would I want any? Those are all the things that I actually want my daughters. Like, legacy is what happens when we're gone. It isn't what we pass down. Yeah. It's not the material things. It's like what stays with them. Like, what will my grandkids know? Yeah. Okay. So if I pass down, a bunch of money, they'll know what trust fund, but they'll know the dollars, but they'll never know me.
Right.
So what are the stories that get told about me? And they're learning those stories, even though I didn't want to know they were attached to the house and the car. But, like, that's where all these things have, like, been embedded in them. I'll give you a really good story about the faith part of this. Valentine's Day, February 14th of 2020. So right before the pandemic hits, my best friend's dad passes away. Now, if you think about your best friend's parents, you're like, oh, I've known him my whole life. But you knew him as a kid to adult relationship. So you didn't know anything about him, actually, right? It's being like an adult to adult relationship, I know a whole different actual person than, like, a child. So I didn't know anything about Jerry. Yeah. But I thought, like, I've known Jerry my whole life. So it's my best friend's dad. I fly down to Houston, Texas for the funeral. I get there, and there's 400 people at his funeral. Whole entire church is full. And there are probably way more than 400. And I'm like, and yes, like, is he in the same town that he kind of grew up in? Sure. And, like, did he have the story from being the stock boy to the CEO of his company? Yes. But even at that, like, you filled a whole church up for your funeral? Like, what kind of impact did you actually have? Yeah, big. And the stories of people, as they would get up and they would talk about him, weren't stories of, like, he was a great friend and he was a philanthropist. Every story was a God story. And again, like, I knew my whole life, and I'm like, I didn't know this. And as he was on his deathbed in his house, he would write scripture, like, on the walls. And he had a lot of influence because he was, like, born and raised in the same town, but he had far more impact. And that's, my branding on my company is impact over influence. Yeah, I have influence. I'm an influencer, all that kind of stuff. But, like, am I leaving impact or not? Yes or no, very binary. And listening to his God stories, and, like, he had impact in these people's life. I remember being in church and praying that day and be like, God, I can't die today. If I died today, the stories about me they would be nice. He's a great friend. He's a good son. He didn't do anything wrong. He donated. But not one person would give you a God story. I didn't bring one person to get to know Christ. Nothing. I had no God stories. I remember so vividly being in that church and being like, I cannot die today. Because I haven't led anybody to you. And So when I think of the sleep and the health and the wealth and the fitness and the spiritual, all of these things, it all boils down to, am I being obedient to God's plan? Am I listening to God's plan for me? Is my legacy in my daughters and then their families going to be, was I a man that chased God's own heart? And God forbid, whenever that day comes and I pass, are there going to be people that are going to stand up and say, you know, his actions led to how I now know Christ? I'll never forget being in that church and being like, how are all hunting buddy? They go on a hunting trip together, you know, and it's like, oh, you know, Jerry, he gave me this piece of advice, and we were on the Little League. I mean, there's every walk of life, and he was not evangelical. He wasn't like a Bible thumper. He just lived it. So how do you live it? Make sure you're getting sleep, right? If you're not sleeping and you're irritated, that's when the devil's going to creep in. But you shouldn't be drinking, because if you don't drink, the devil's going to creep in. If you don't fit and you're a slave to sugar, the devil's going to creep in. So all of these things, all your 6 pillars, if you do them, you're simply more aligned to your divine purpose and you're closer to your creator. If you don't do them, it's the devil's playground. It's that, to me, life gets real simple, man.
Sick answer.
It's just, it really gets simple. Like, I do believe in spiritual warfare. I absolutely believe in demons. I believe that hell's on earth. Like, we're actually in the devil's playground. And that's why we were liberated from here to the heavens.
Yeah.
And if you give him, he just needs a little, man. He just needs a little bit. I think sleep is massively underrated.
Yeah.
And it's probably my worst pill out of all of them. I self-sabotage with sleep more than anything else. I think all of those things are simply being aligned to you being obedient to God's plan for you, you having faith and trusting in God's plan. It's no different than a diet. Like, I don't know if this diet's going to work. I don't like this food. Sure, okay, well, do you want somebody else walking down the aisle or not? You know, I also want my daughter walking down the aisle in church. I want her to have a faith-based marriage. So yeah, you can walk her down whatever aisle it is. You know, but is it going to be a faith-based marriage or not?
Yeah, it needs to be.
Right? Because I want her father and her heavenly father walking her down this aisle. And if I'm not around and it is somebody else, it better be her. At least, you know, it's her heaven. It's going to be in front of her heavenly father.
Right.
I don't want any of this like, oh, it's just the two of us and we're just getting married. I'm like, no, that's not biblical. Like, so there's a lot of that, man. I think all 6 of those pillars are completely put together to like you living a legacy that outlives you. That's a super winded long answer.
That's a good answer.
Oh, that's a good answer. And I love that story. And here's some, like, as we end it, I think some, like, a good thing that everyone could do. It's something that I did was I literally wrote out my eulogy and, like, what you want people to say about you. Because I think that really puts it in perspective of, like, when you die, what do you want people to say about you? And that's really cool what you see in your friend's dad. Like, 400 people were in that service. And they were like nothing but God stories, right? He invested time. He was intentional about everything he did, who he talked with, who he spoke with. So that's important. That's I appreciate that answer. Thanks for coming on the podcast, man.
That's living full.
It's very good.
It was a great day.
Maya, thank you so much.
It's Mia.
Oh gosh, Mia.
He clearly hates you. It's okay.
Gosh, man, butchering your name. You still crushed it. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I appreciate you.
No problem.
Well, that's a wrap. Live full fueled. Live beyond limits, baby.